Hi, Tara. I am so glad you are here. I am so excited that you were here. And I'm sorry we couldn't go live. We tried to do Facebook Live, everybody, but we couldn't do that. So here we are, where we decided we record a conversation between the two of us, and then we'll go ahead and post it up live later. We'll just put the recording up for everybody to tune in. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Laurel. And I am so honored to be here. And, you just continue to be such a source of inspiration to me. And yeah, it truly is an honor to be here and to share this message that, we both feel is so important. So
Absolutely. I was so excited when you and I got on this topic and we both had like
yeah,
a fire around it. You know what I mean? Like it's
absolutely.
really important, to when we connect that way and we have our voices out in there in the world that we put out. I think it's really important to put that out there. So,
Agreed.
so let's do a little bit of an introduction on the topic, like why we want
Sure.
to talk about what we're talking about today
Mhm.
from a little personal standpoint, and then we'll kind of dive into the conversation a little bit more. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sounds
So
good to
tell me
me.
a little bit. Yeah, yeah. Share a little bit about for you, like where's your fire come from? Yeah.
So my fire,
Mm.
gosh, so many, it's been such a journey, but, just the, now I feel the importance of using my voice, to express what was quelled inside of me for such a long time, when it comes to this day and age, body image and, how women are depicted in our society and messages that we receive, whether it's, right out there, in the open or self-imposed, and just knowing that this is something that so many women are experiencing, not women, girls too, and even, men as
Yeah,
well. That's a thing
absolutely.
we all
I
have.
wanted to, yeah, good. I'm so glad you
Yeah,
brought
we
that
all,
up. We need to talk about
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. We all have, feminine and masculine qualities within us, and just this pressure that is placed on us, and these what I like to think of as chains, that feel like these arms that are surrounding us and holding us, that actually are holding us back, from being our most vibrant selves.
Yeah.
And I've definitely been on quite a journey, and a journey that continues when it comes to body image. And it's not something that I spoke openly about for a very long time, but now I see this pain that I've gone through in my past as something that is now a gift, because I am able to relate to others on a level, like how do you describe climbing a mountain, unless you've actually done it, like going through that process. And, throughout my own healing, the people that have helped me the most are the ones that I can connect the most directly to, the ones who have been through it as well. So,
Mhm.
um, so yeah, my fire just comes from, you know, using my own voice and also inspiring others to use theirs, and a voice of celebration as well,
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's great. That's great. I know, for me, it's just been something that I've been aware of my entire, adult life, particularly as I started to get into my healing journey of being really aware of the expectation around looking, just right, staying the same size that I was when I was 30, at 60.
Mhm,
It's like ridiculous.
mhm,
Just
mhm,
all those inner messages, and then looking in the mirror and knowing that critical voice is still there all these years later. I mean, I've done a lot of healing work around so many things in my life, but I can still feel it. I can still feel like the pain when I can hear that voice in my mind judging something
mhm,
about me, about the way I look. And it's
mhm,
so powerful that you think about, for me, the fire comes from, holy cow, like this is a long journey that I've been on, and wow, that it still lingers there. That's how powerful all those messages are. And
mhm,
there was a period of time when I was working in mental health clinic, doing a lot of work with women with eating disorders, and to know the pain, the deep, deep, deepest pain that is there for us as women, around feeling like there's such a need for us to look a certain way, to be a certain way, to fit into certain molds. And when is it going to end? When is the madness, going to end? And I think it ends when we all decide we're not going to do the game anymore. We're just going to not be there with it. We're going to learn how to cultivate that loving voice within. And I think that was the message I felt like we really wanted to get out and start to talk about and open the conversation with, is how do you start changing that voice inside so that the critic moves aside and the loving voice comes in and supports you on your journey, right?
Absolutely. I completely agree. And a few things that you just mentioned really resonated with me. One of my dearest friends, we have essentially become each other's support group, and we check in with each other every single day. And one thing that we've done, with this voice, is that we've actually given this voice a name. And what that has done, it's allowed us to separate ourselves from this voice and realize that we don't have to listen to this voice. So yeah, our voices have names, and we're not crazy. Well, maybe we are crazy. Maybe we're all a little bit crazy.
Only in a good way.
Right, exactly. But we will actually check in with each other and use the name of the voice, to separate that from, the loving being that we are. And also, one thing that she actually shared with me recently that one of her mentors shared with her is this whole idea that recovery isn't linear, right? So yeah, we go to this place of like, because for me, personally, it wasn't about like it's never been a fear of being like big. It's not in my genes. For me, I feel like it's been more of this like one thing that I actually have control over, consistency and a life of inconsistency. Yeah. So, we go from like, striving to be like, perfect when actually perfection is a prerequisite for pain, to like, then, trying to like, okay, well now I'm recovering, so I have to recover perfectly, you know?
I know.
So just that whole like thought of recovery isn't linear.
Right.
You're going to have ups and you're going to have downs, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
You're a human being, but and also, surrounding yourself with people who are going to remind you of the beautiful goddess and God that you are, know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, when you were talking about the recovery process not being linear, it's a lot like when I think about forgiveness work and grief work. Any real emotional, any work that requires real deep emotional work it is usually more like a spiral, where you're going around this kind of circle of healing, of understanding, of learning, of growing, and you learn a bunch of things on the outside, and you take those with you, and you take them around, and you go around again, and you go around again, and you revisit the issues, you revisit the pain, you revisit whatever the trauma might have been, and you just keep working it until it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until you get into that core piece of, the purity of really what the wound is and what the learning is and what you can really gain from the experience itself. So I think that's a great image for everybody, is to switch out of that, oh good, I'm into this recovery thing, or it's going to change, and then I go down the line and I'm done. It's not, no, it's around and around and around.
Right.
And I think I kind of started us off with 30 years later, I'm still working with the voice. I'm still speaking to the voice. As we get older as women, the messages are still there. They don't go away from out here. They're still here. We still hear them. And if you buy into it, right, now you're getting older, and now there's a whole new layer of complication to it. So yeah, really important work. Yeah,
I agree. And the whole, image that I just saw, like digging deep, right? We can put a Band-Aid over the surface, and like it might irritate us every once in a while, but going to the root, going into the wound, like you said, think of an actual wound. Putting a Band-Aid over it, it's going to get infected. It's going to continue to fester. What
Right.
you have to do is actually like clean it out, and that hurts, man. Like that really hurts. That's painful. But
Yeah.
the result is
Is
healing.
beautiful. Is
Yeah.
beautiful.
And exactly. And like even the scar that results, that's part of
Right.
your story,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, so that you can then share that with others.
Yeah.
So I love that analogy of yeah, digging deep instead of
Dig
just
deep.
like putting a band-aid over it.
Yeah, yeah. So Tara, will you share a little bit about your yoga journey and, kind of like a little bit about your life in that way? Because I feel like that really is part of, right, this experience and this journey with you. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
kind of how it supports your healing process. Because I think that's
Yeah.
important for people to hear about. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you for asking. So, yeah, God, what a journey. And I could talk about this for hours, so I'm going to try to avoid the sparkles and stay focused. Um, so yes, this journey, that began long before I realized that it actually did, continues on. And yes, it's been a tremendous part of my own healing and continues to be. And, you know, this practice I have learned, I feel like so many people come to the mat, to relax or stretch their hamstrings, or, but, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. There's so many beautiful parts of yoga. And, my teaching is really transformed into this very much like you're not getting into a certain position or shape, but getting back in touch with this vessel that you have been given, like actually feeling what it feels like to feel,
Yeah.
like whether it's physically, whether it's emotionally. And you know, just I'll put it right out there. When I was 12 years old, I was put on medication for anxiety by doctors, and I was told that I would never be able to function without it. And, they would say things like, if you were a diabetic, would you stop taking your insulin?
Mm,
They never just told me to breathe,
yeah.
right? To
Right.
feel into it, to lean into it. And, that is what this practice has allowed me to do and continues to allow me to do, is to lean into those feelings of fear and of discomfort, and realizing that I got this. Like I'm held by my tribe, but I'm also held by me.
Mm,
Like I have the ability to do this.
yeah.
And the only person, the only being that's creating these chains holding me back is myself. So every time I go to the mat, it's not always rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes I feel like I can fly.
Mhm.
Other times I just cry. But that's another thing that this mat has taught me how to do, is cry.
Yeah.
I was numb for
Yeah.
so long, and I haven't been on medication for years.
Yay. Yeah. I love it. I love
So
hearing that. I know.
yeah, yeah. And not only that, but like I said before, it's just become such a catalyst to be able to connect with others going through the same process, whereas we wouldn't otherwise. It's this practice has allowed me to develop some very deep and sacred bonds with others, and now we lift each other up too, just reminders that we're not alone. So yeah, it's pretty incredible, the journey that this practice has led me on thus far, unexpected, and I know it's far from finished.
Right, right. I know for me, one of the reasons I think I'm probably such a big proponent of meditation, and it's a big part of, what I encourage my clients all to do, is because it's the opportunity to be still with yourself, as in yoga. I mean, yoga is a version of meditation to me. It is.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh yeah.
and it's your ability to like be quiet with yourself, to meet yourself there in the moment, and to learn how to become the observer and the witness to your mind, the way your body moves, to the energy and the emotions that moving through you, that you can begin to have that strengthening process of the time of just being there with yourself, is actually how you develop becoming the witness and the observer of it
Hmm.
all, right? And until you invest the time you don't really get the skill. You don't really get the benefit of that, muscle. That witness muscle is like nothing else in terms of healing and empowering yourself, and knowing that you have power over what's running through your mind, what's coming into your heart, what's how your body's moving on the mat. Like, you do have more control than you know, right?
Right. And that's why we call it practice too. You just referred to the muscle. Think of anything like, if you're playing the guitar, the more you do it, the easier it's going to become. If you're an athlete, the more you practice, the more effortless it's going to be to score that goal. It's the same thing. It just becomes more automatic the more that we practice.
Right, right. And so the practice here, the one that we really wanted to share today is to begin to watch, how you're speaking to yourself when you're seeing your body, when the body image is there in the mirror, right? How are you meeting yourself? How are you greeting yourself?
Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
When you're feeling emotional and you don't like the emotion that's there, how are you greeting yourself? How are
Yeah.
you being with you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. My dear friend that I was referring to earlier, we actually just came up with a new practice last week called, because we both keep a gratitude journal that we write in every day. So we came up with an intrinsic gratitude journal,
Mm,
where we sit in front of the mirror and actually look at ourselves, and not necessarily focusing on something external, but what is something from the inside that we are grateful
love
for.
that. I love that.
Our
Yeah.
heart beating, our
Yeah.
health, the ability to breathe,
I
you
love
know, all
Yeah.
of these beautiful these beautiful happenings of this vessel,
Mm,
so, and being able to look in this mirror, this thing that was scary for such a long time, and looking with deep, compassionate love.
beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. So I don't know. I kind of want to wrap up close to that, because I feel like that if we're gonna offer people one thing, today to practice or to take away from this time that we spent together and that we're sharing with other people, is an intrinsic gratitude journal. I mean, what a beautiful way to change a gratitude practice if you already have one. That deepens the work, that deepens your ability to be with yourself and be with the truth of what's inside here. And then what a beautiful way to begin to change the language, to change the messages that are happening, inside in an
Mm-hmm.
automatic way. I feel like gratitude, doing daily gratitude is a great way to start to rewire some of
Mm-hmm.
those, messages, those
Oh, yeah.
little messages that are in there. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a beautiful one. So I would love, if you're okay with it, are you willing to share a reading with us to
Yes.
close out our
Yeah.
time together?
Thank
Yeah.
you, Laurel.
We talked about the chains, so I'd love for
Yeah.
you to share that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So speaking of the voice, I've just started to really put my poetry out there. I've completed an entire book and a half, essentially. And so,
Congratulations.
thank you, thank
Yeah,
you, thank you.
good.
So yes, it's been another tremendous part of my healing, and I would love to share a piece written entitled "Chains." Um, And I would also like to dedicate this to my dear friend and anyone else who needs a reminder of that freedom that lies within. So, these chains that we create are just an illusion. Yes, that happened, and perhaps this will be. But now is reality, and it's all that we have. Every tumble, every fall, every step, every leap has led to our ability to now fly. I release the heaviness as I open to the tejas of now. Every bone in my body and every ounce of my soul aches for the light that comes with freedom, casting away that which no longer serves, even if it once had. These chains that embraced me were false, comforting arms whispering to my heart that they knew best. They were wrong. And now I know. Goodbye, illusions. Farewell, false hope. My mind is clear, my heart is strong, and I smile as I now see you are separate from me. Goodbye, chains. We are free.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's been an honor.
Thank you for taking time with me. Thank you for your words of beauty.
Absolutely. Thank you for being such a radiant reflection of hope and freedom to me.
All right, let's do it again.
All right. Yes, please.
Okay, good.
Done.
All right.
I would namaste, but my other hand is holding the phone. So
That's right.
namaste.
So namaste. Shanti.
Om Shanti Jai. Blessings.
Okay.
Much love.